Go get Gabby. That should be the mantra of the Indiana Fever right now. Lynn Dunn needs to be on the phone calling over to France, whatever the area code is over there, because Gabby Williams would be a seamless fit with the Indiana Fever. If you watched her perform for France, she does a lot of the things the Fever desperately need. Indiana has been searching for a wing player to offer some defensive resistance on the perimeter and also rebound and also run the floor in transition and be able to convert off of Caitlin Clark's passes. Williams seems like she fits all of that, right? Like when you watch her stand out for France, I know she's been in the WNBA before, but situations can oftentimes allow someone to thrive. And it feels like from a basketball standpoint, that would be a perfect situation for her. The only thing she doesn't bring that the Fever also really need is consistent outside shooting. That would be one other roster hole to possibly address. But nonetheless, I think with them sitting in playoff position, if you were to add someone like Williams, when they've tried, Christy Wallace and Katie Lou Samuelson and Lexi Hull in that spot, that athleticism that they need, she would fill that hole for them. Now, as far as how realistic this is, that's something to explore as well, because you can always play, fantasy GM and just add players to teams as you so choose. But when you're looking at the cap space, I went to Spotrac earlier today, and according to them, the Fever have the fourth most cap space in the WNBA right now at $61,000 and change. Above them are the Chicago Sky, the Washington Mystics, and the Los Angeles Sparks. Okay, so I don't know what the monetary need would necessarily be. I also don't know how realistic it is that Williams comes to the WNBA at all. I do know that she is eligible. Alexa Filippo, a women's basketball writer for ESPN, wrote this tweet saying there's understandable confusion over the WNBA's prioritization rules and how they impact European stars at the Olympics. She confirmed that Gabby Williams is indeed eligible to play the rest of the season. So is it possible that Williams returns to the WNBA? The answer to that question is yes. Then you get into what teams could offer a better situation. I mentioned the Sky. The Sky have been recruiting, or at least Angel Reese was, jokingly recruiting, or perhaps seriously recruiting Gabby Williams online. But Williams had previously played for the Sky and doesn't seem to be a big fan of the organization, because she responded to Reese and said, or we could just play together for a different organization, when Reese said, would you like to be a part of the Chicago Sky again? And then De'Erica Hamby said, I asked first, Gabby. So, some of this is I'm sure playful to an extent, but it seems like from what Williams responded, and that doesn't mean, it's etched in stone, that the Sky are probably not her desired destination. The Sparks were a team that has more cap space than Indiana. Obviously, LA offers a lot from a lifestyle standpoint. So that could make a ton of sense. And then there is the Mystics otherwise. All this is without knowing what kind of moves teams could make ahead of the deadline, to free up more cap space or whatnot, other sort of maneuvering to up the offer. And it's hard for me to know exactly what Williams would want, because Williams in the past, like if you watch the France game, you go like, how is this woman not in the WNBA? How is that possible that she's not in the WNBA? Well, the biggest hindrance to that is money. The biggest hindrance to that is money, because Williams had previously stated that, and that's why one of the reasons she's playing internationally. This was with the Next Hoops. And she had said, I would love to be in the WNBA because it's the best league in the world for women's basketball, the most competitive, the highest skill level, and it's not even close. Unfortunately, it doesn't pay the most, so I'm happy to have other options to provide for me and my family. Now, The new media rights deal could certainly up the salaries in the WNBA going forward. I think, obviously, now Unrivaled is another option for players domestically here in the United States. Williams played at UConn in college, is playing overseas now, or was playing overseas, and of course, just stood out for France in the Olympics. When you look at what the other teams have to offer, probably more realistic if she plays at all, because she had said in the past she doesn't think she's likely to play in the WNBA this season. But she is going to have a lot of suitors right now, and her stock is probably never going to be higher than it is right now. And she provides what a lot of teams, I think, could really use. So I'm sure there will be inquiries. And if, more power to her if she's trying to make as much as she possibly can in a short period of time, then it's probably LA or Washington that have the most enticing offers. When it comes to the basketball fit, she would be glorious, I believe, playing next to Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell and the rest of the Indiana Fever. I've watched the Fever so much this year and be like, if they just had more bounce out there, they just had a little bit more team speed and athleticism, they would be in business. And that's exactly what Gabby Williams would offer them. Exactly what she could bring to the table. And there are some benefits to playing for the Fever. You get more attention. It just comes along with the territory. I mean, you look at Aaliyah Boston, I think her overall career is going to be viewed in a higher light playing next to Clark and all the attention she receives, because now people are seeing how good she is. And that's why she got as many all-star votes in part as she did. And I think, Kelsey Mitchell is an all-star as well and gets recognized as a result. So Williams could get some recognition. I don't know if endorsement deals could come along with that. But, we've seen a lot of those plays where somebody's running ahead and doesn't necessarily catch and finish on those Clark transition passes. And I think Williams would do that brilliantly. She would do that brilliantly. So, I don't know how realistic it is. It's just when you have a possibility like that and the only cost is money. Lynn Dunn, I don't know what time she should be up by now, I would think. She should be on the phone. That's the minimum, I would say, right? Like, you got to be realistic about these things. It's not a fantasy. You can't just put Gabby Williams on the Fever roster and say, there it is. But from a basketball standpoint, it makes a lot of sense if they could get to where they need to get to entice Gabby when it comes to dollars and cents.